Welcome, everyone. My name is Rachel Fletcher, and I'm the Associate Director of Internship Development for the University Career Center. And our host for today's session, our final day of Internship Week. And our session today is Internships of the Future, specifically our time travel guide. So I am joined today by Tyra Allen and Jessica Torres, who are students who have been there and done that. They have participated in internship experiences. And so they're going to share some tips with us today on how they prepared, some ways that they made the most of their experience, and then some things to follow up on afterwards. So I'm going to allow Tyra and Jessica to introduce themselves quickly, and then we're going to begin.
Hi everyone, my name is Tyra Allen. I'm a senior studying digital communication. I previously completed an internship with the UTSA Tuggle and Jefferson Scholars, and I'm currently preparing for my next internship that'll take place in the spring with the University Communications Department. I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica. I'm currently a sophomore who's majoring in biochemistry. I've completed an internship with the center as an analyst, and currently I'm working at the Career Center with Rachel as an intern for experiential learning as well.
Yes, so I'm very excited to have both Jessica and Tyra here today to share their experience. And I am their supervisor as well as an intern supervisor in the past as well, in my past job. So I have some experience from the supervisor aspect as well. So we're excited today. And I will tell you this. We're going to play a game about midway through toward the end. So I would maybe take some notes, enjoy our presentation in the beginning, but then we're going to ask for some audience participation. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So here we go. All right. So how many of you have secured an internship? Just curious. Anyone here today already have an internship lined up? And if not, that's okay too. How many of you are looking for an internship right now? Okay, we have some that haven't have an internship yet. We have another at USAA for next summer. Congratulations, Kimberly. We're excited to have you here today. So yeah, it looks like we have a couple different people from different areas in their internship search right now. So some that have secured, others that are still looking. But how many of you feel a little bit like this picture? You're looking at your watch, you know there's a countdown till your internship experience, and you're feeling a little bit of pressure. Yes. Okay. Well, you are not alone because it does feel like there is a countdown when it comes to internships. So let me ask you this. This is a follow-up question. Are you ready? Do you feel ready for your experience? If you had to go in tomorrow, do you feel confident and ready to go? Yes. Okay, awesome. So, yes, we have one feeling confident. And if the answer is no, I'm not ready yet, that is okay. Okay, that's completely fine. That's what we're here for. So, let me ask you one more follow up question. Do you know what to expect when you walk into your internship? Is there anything that you are anticipating? What do you think that first day is going to be like? So just name one thing in the chat that you're thinking, well, when I go to my internship, I know I'm going to have to do this. Orientation, yes. Hopefully you have an orientation that first day that you start. So we know there's going to be an orientation. So that's one thing. And I know we have a question in the chat. Yes, put your ABC 123 in the chat so we can follow up with you and send you this presentation. Oh, good, Marlene. We know there's going to be training involved. So yeah, there's a couple aspects of the internship that we know are coming. So today our goal is to provide you with some tools and resources and skills, and so that you walk into that first day feeling confident and that you're excited for the experience and that you are in a place where you can make the most of that opportunity. All right. Also, we want you to leave out of here confident, right? Hopefully in this nice jazzy car, right? I hope you get a nice car for your internship. But for those of you who have watched our Back to the Future, that was the way that the main character traveled back and to the future. So this is going to be kind of our mode of transportation. We want you to feel confident in going into the future in your internship opportunity. So we're going to talk first about some things you can do before that first day. So I'm going to invite Tyra to share a little bit about how she prepared for her internship, and advice for you all who are now in that same position, or even if you're still searching for an internship, you know how to prepare once you secure it.
Yeah, so one thing that I would suggest is definitely just ask your internship supervisor some general logistic questions in terms of what platforms you need to already have downloaded before your first day. And I'm pretty sure they will help you get like your account set up, but they might be asking you to work on Microsoft Teams. So if you at least have it downloaded in advance, that could probably help with the training. And then other tips would also be to just reach out to students who may have already previously completed the internship. I know when I did my very first one, that really helped me. And one thing I like about Handshake is it actually shows you like if a student has already done this internship and if they're willing to allow you to reach out to them to ask some questions about it.
Thank you, Tyra. That was really, really helpful, and some things we don't always think about. So a couple more items that I added to our list since we're creating our guide, right? And this is something that is going to be a work in progress. Tyra mentioned clarifying the programs that you might be using. And so on here, we also have clarifying dress code. So we know that right now there's a lot of individuals doing internships virtually, but by next summer, there may be some that are doing in person. So whether it's in person or virtual, clarifying the dress code is going to put you at ease, I guarantee. Because what you don't want to worry about on the first day is, am I wearing the right kind of clothes? Is it business casual? Is it business professional? Those are things you don't want to have to worry about. So it's as simple as asking your supervisor what the expectation is for attire, even if you are working virtually. Another great thing that you can do is reviewing the company website as well as the job description. So that job description that you applied for, go back to it, revisit it, and look through it, because this document is going to help you create some goals. And I would say this is one of the number one things you want to do before you go to your internship is identify a couple things that you want to learn. What are some goals that you have for yourself? And are those goals in line with what the company or the program is trying to accomplish? And I guarantee if you take those with you on your first day, your supervisor is going to be very impressed. They're going to say, wow, they're prepared. They already came with some goals of what they want to accomplish. And then lastly, I would say to just be open to learning. So those first couple weeks, you're probably going to be doing a lot of training and development. So just take that time to soak it all in. Okay, there's going to be a time for you to give feedback, and I guarantee your supervisor is going to ask you for thoughts and perspectives and ideas. But don't feel like you need to rush into giving feedback right away. You just want to take it all in and be open to all the new learning that's going to happen in this experience. All right. Another thing I want you to be aware of as you go into your internship is that there are internship standards. So, an internship is not the same thing as a part time job. I know sometimes people get confused with that, and sometimes students go to an internship and feel like they're just running errands for people. That's not what a true internship is. So, I think you are the best advocate for yourself. So, going in knowing what your rights are as an intern is going to be very important. So, first of all, the internship is a quality experience. So, you're taking what you're learning in the classroom and you're implementing it in a professional setting. Hence, your goals, right? You want learning objectives or goals, and you want to be able to visit these regularly with your supervisor. So, that's going to make the experience more meaningful, right? You have goals, you talk about them, you talk about your progress, so that when you walk away, you say, this is exactly what I gained from this experience. So there is that educational aspect of for an internship. You also are supervised by a professional in the field. So you should have someone there that you can go to as your mentor, as your guide, and they're teaching you what it's like to work in that field and in that setting. Thirdly is schedules, right? So as a student intern, there is an expectation to be flexible with your class schedule. You never want to miss class due to an internship. So setting that up in the beginning with your supervisor and confirming your schedule. So when I say flexible schedule, I don't mean come and go whenever you feel like it, right? So there's a commitment aspect as well. You set your schedule up in advance and then you stick to it. But there is an understanding that you are a student and that it should be available around your class schedule. And then lastly is as an intern, you shouldn't be replacing a full-time employee. So you will be doing tasks and duties that a full-time employee would do, because that's part of the learning process, but you're not taking the place of them completely, right? You should be learning and working alongside someone else. So what if any of the things we talked about you have concerns about, or a red flag saying, my internship is not following these standards that you just talked about? If that ever happens, I welcome you to visit us at the Career Center. We also have a career counseling team, one counselor per college that can talk through some of these challenges with you. So, for any questions or concerns, please reach out to us. We're happy to walk alongside you and talk through those with you in order to make the best possible decision. And like I said, advocate for yourself. And a lot of these can just be conversations that you have with your supervisor as well. I always recommend questions and concerns you also take to your site supervisor. All right, so next we're going to talk about some professional practices. So we discussed a little bit about how to prepare before the internship, things you need to be aware of as an intern walking into it. Now let's talk about some things that you can do during the internship experience to show that you are working towards being a professional, and that you're there to learn. So I'm going to throw the question out to you guys. So in the chat, I'd love for you to share what are some things that you can do when you start your internship that show that you can be professional. And it can be little examples. All right, I see a couple coming through. Being punctual. Yes, show up on time. Looks like both of you were on the same track. Write things down. I love that, Marlene. Taking notes is huge because we understand that you're not going to remember everything the first time you hear it. It takes a couple times for you to understand the system and the process, so writing it down is going to be huge. Yes, I agree. It also shows that you're committed and you're excited about being there and learning something new. Very good. So yes, I would say you're on the right track. Okay. If you are want to show that you are professional, being on time, whether it's virtual or in person, right? When you say I'm going to be ready to work at 10 o'clock, your supervisor is expecting you to be ready to work at 10 o'clock, no matter where you are. So I put be professional as the first bullet point, but that can mean a lot of different things, right? So we're going to dive into what professional means. It can be the way you communicate with people, it can be your attire, it can be the way that you're responding in an email or a phone call or any of those things, right? We've covered how to dress and how to communicate with your supervisor on what the expectations are. You guys already talked about being on time, keeping your schedule. Another thing that I want to stress highly, and this is especially important in the virtual world, limit distractions. I know this can be hard, and you see that I didn't put have no distractions because that's impossible. We know that things come up. We know a lot of people are working from home, doing classes from home. There's other family members in your home, and we understand that completely. So just limit distraction as much as possible. Find a quiet place that you can work. Be prepared that if you have a meeting with your supervisor or with other team members, that during that meeting that you're focused, you have your camera on, you're paying attention, you're engaging, you're responding, and that you're not working on other things. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge in the virtual space is your computer's right there, you have things you need to do, you have projects, you have class. So really try to put all that aside when you're focusing on work and you're especially in a meeting, right? So limit your distractions is going to be huge. Another thing I would say is communicate openly with your supervisors and your colleagues and peers. That's going to be huge. Establishing what the expectations are. Like, how do you want me to communicate? Do you want me to send you a text, email you, communicate through Microsoft Teams? That's something we use in our office a lot. But talking through what the expectation is, because sometimes people can get offended on modes of communication, simply because they haven't had the conversation. So maybe asking your supervisor, how do you want me to communicate with you? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer the instant message? Do you prefer me to call you if I'm going to be late? Things like that. So establishing that and just being open. If anything were to arise or you have distractions, communicating those with your supervisor. And then lastly, taking initiative. I guarantee you that an internship supervisor doesn't want to have to tell you every day what you need to do and step by step every single process, right? In the beginning, there is going to be training. So that is going to be the time when you're spending the most time walking along side by side. But they are looking for students too that will go above and beyond and not just do what is asked, but add your flair, add your ideas, add your creativity, and ask questions and write them down. So that's another way of taking initiative. So these are just a couple that we wanted to highlight today. So now let's talk. I referenced a little bit about going above and beyond. So one way that you can stand out in your internship is what we like to call going the extra mile. So what does going the extra mile mean? What does that look like? Well, I have two students that are here today, Tyra and Jessica, who have both gone the extra mile in projects and things that we have worked on in my team. So I'm excited to turn it over to both Jessica and Tyra, and they're going to share an example or two on how they have gone the extra mile and what the impact was.
So I know that a good example of this would be saying yes to a lot of projects, you know, your supervisors would offer you. I know when it comes to collaborating with Rachel, we've had a lot of different projects, whether they were big or small. Um, I think something can always come out of just saying yes. I know recently I said yes to Rachel about organizing files on our teams. Um, so that's always something that's important. I know when it comes to bigger projects, we've had to do a lot of presentations and things like that. And I personally haven't always done well with presentations, but because of constantly saying yes, getting out of my comfort zone, I've developed that skill of being able to talk in front of people, preparing, organizing, and things like that. So I think that's also really important to consider whenever you're doing your internship, as well as whenever you do these types of projects, you're able to collaborate with others outside of your team. I know when it comes to projects I've said yes to Rachel, we've collaborated with other teams in the center as well, not necessarily just me and Tyra speaking to Rachel, and things like that. Something else would be asking questions. I know that I like to ask Rachel a lot of questions because I want to make sure I'm doing the best in the projects that I'm given. So I go ahead and do that. I also like to ask for feedback because I want to make sure that I'm doing it well. Um, so that's just a little bit about what I have on my side.
And for me, I would say the same, just saying yes, but also just trying to analyze what skills is it that you would most likely want to gain from the internship, and just understanding like, you know, there's no like, oh, well, then you need to do this, this, and that. It's more so about like, you know, taking every opportunity you can and just making the best of it. And that's how you like organically gain those skills. And so for me, like one instance would be when my executive director, Mario Bella, had asked if anyone would want to help with his Black Student Career Initiative. And so even though like I don't directly work under him, I work under Rachel. I just felt like that was definitely an area where I could lead on and take initiative on. And so with that, it came, how do I do event planning? How do I host events? How do I network and get like all these students to want to come to these presentations? And then getting presenters to come and just doing a lot of programming and really seeing like this become more than just an initiative, but something that can definitely become a great resource for the Career Center. So yeah, you just never know how to lead from one thing to another, but always be excited about the opportunities, you guys.
I love what you both said because what I'm hearing is that you don't necessarily know how to do everything or know exactly what you're doing to say yes. And I think that's sometimes the biggest thing that keeps us from trying new things is fear of, oh, I don't know how to do that, or I'm not very good at that. I'm not quite sure I'm the right person. But in both situations, Tyra and Jessica said, yes, I might not have all the answers yet, but I'll figure it out and let me go ask questions and work with other people and get out of my comfort zone a little bit because that is where you develop skills outside of your comfort zone and by practicing. And I love what you said too, Tyra, about showing enthusiasm. That is huge. Things like leadership can actually be taught. I don't know if you guys know that, but leadership can be taught. Initiative, you can practice taking initiative. That can also, the concept can be taught, but enthusiasm is going to come from within you, right? So these are some ways that you can go the extra mile. And I will tell you this, both have completed special projects. Jessica and Tyra have both, and they presented this week during internship week as well. So I would, as their supervisor, definitely advocate that they have both gone the extra mile. And it is evident in our career center that they are both willing to put the work in, and they're going to be remembered for that. We're going to later down the road say, oh, yeah, I remember Jessica and Tyra. They were excellent. We'd love to have them come back for something because they made an impression on us, on me specifically. But they've done a great job. So let's talk a little bit about reflecting during your experience. And the reason why we talk about this is often we talk about, let's go do the experience. And then after we're done, now let's try to remember everything we did and write it all down. And it's hard to remember what you've done in a whole semester, right? So John Dewey, who I admire greatly, said this quote: we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on the experience. So you can do a great internship, you can do a great volunteer experience, but if you don't spend any time reflecting on it, what did you really gain from it? Right? We want you to be able to walk away from your internship with a plan and with the ability to articulate and say, this is exactly what I learned from my experience. And sometimes that takes being intentional about it. So we're going to hear a little bit from Jessica and Tyra about ways that they reflected during their experience.
So I know when it comes to reflecting, me and Rachel have set up meetings throughout our week. To the beginning of the week, we discuss what we need to get done, all our goals for the week. And then by the end of the week, we'll kind of get together, talk about what I did, things I need to get done, and kind of just reflect on the week. I can personally say that I never realized how important it was to self-reflect till I met Rachel, because at the end of our week meetings, she would ask me questions like, did you encounter anything throughout the week that you feel like you could have done better? Is there anything you feel like you can work on, and things like that? And so as she asking me these questions, I had never really thought about it. I just figured like, oh, I mean, I feel like I had a great week. That was like my response. But when I actually sat down and thought about it, I sometimes I feel like we tend to not like acknowledge our successes even if they are small. And I think that's always something that's important to acknowledge. And so when it comes to reflecting, I think it's good to kind of put everything that you have on the table that you've experienced throughout the week or even throughout your whole internship, and kind of see all the different skills that you've developed from that and all the good things that came from it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And just to kind of elaborate a little bit more, I would also say incorporating like the reflection model, which was something that we talked about earlier during internship week, where you basically just determine, what worked, what went well, and then basically just trying to go from there. Like when you plan your next experience or for your next internship, like what do you want to gain out of it? And so I know for me, when I had interned just shadowing my cousin, I thought that I wanted to be a lawyer, but as I completed the experience, it was very fun. And so it took for me to just sit down and just do a little bit of journaling just to like think about what did I do every day and like overall, did I really see myself doing this in the long term? Or maybe is there a different route that I haven't considered? But because I did this internship, now I should do some research and maybe see about doing an internship that's more related to another opportunity. So it really just helps you just collect your thoughts about the experience and never overlook it. Just take the time out. It can definitely give you some clarity going forward into the future.
Thank you, Tyra and Jessica. I think you had some very great insight to share on what you've encountered this semester and even in the past experiences. And I think it's a lot to expect that we are going to remember everything we've done. So, as Tyra mentioned, she journals. So, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's journaling or keeping a list, track all of your activities and accomplishments. Okay, write those along the way as you're completing them. As Jessica mentioned, share your goals and your progress with your supervisor. That's a great time to say, this is what I did really well this week, or yeah, this was hard. This was a hard week because of, and then this is how I got through it, or this is how next time I'd like to do it differently. So you can reflect with your supervisor, you can reflect with peers, right? So if you're at a site where there's other interns, it's a cool opportunity to talk with other interns and hear what they're learning, what they're gaining from their experience. Because sometimes we can hear from someone else and think, you know what, me too. I also learned that too. So it's nice to get another perspective on it. I will encourage you though, as you're reflecting, this is the time to track the progress of your goals and think, okay, so I had this goal set for the semester, I completed it. So now what other goals do I want to set? So you're always keeping yourself moving and you're stretching yourself, right? You're giving yourself challenging goals, but realistic goals. And so that's a part of the process too. You're reflecting so that you can reevaluate where you are and decide where you want to go next. So let's talk a little bit about after. So you've had a wonderful internship, you've reflected on it throughout. Now you're wondering, what do I do next after my internship is done? Well, obviously, you want to reflect again, right? So you reflected throughout, but at the end, you want to say, okay, I'm going to look at my whole experience and learn what are my key takeaways. What are a couple things that when I talk to someone else and they ask me, how's my internship, I have something to respond, not just, oh, it was good, it was so fun, I ate lots of good food. That's not really what they want to hear about, even though you might have ate some really good food. But if you reflect on it, you've identified a couple really great takeaways that are easy to go back to anytime someone asks you. Another thing at the end of your experience is asking for feedback. Jessica shared this and it was huge, right? Asking your supervisor, okay, so what are some things that you thought I did really well? This is a great time to say, I'm wondering if this is a good person that could write me a letter of recommendation later down the road. But don't you want to know what your supervisor thinks about you before you ask them to write a letter of recommendation? Probably. Right? So asking for feedback. Sometimes it's hard to receive feedback, but it's really good. It shows that you are willing to grow as a person and that you want to learn. I would also say part of your reflection is identifying skills that you've accomplished and gained so that you can do what? Add them to your resume. Yay! You're also going to use these when you're in an interview as well. These are your examples in interviews. But you don't want to wait till the end to try to figure out what to put on your resume. You go back to your list. Remember, you tracked your activities, go back to that list, and it becomes really easy to write it on a resume. Because a lot of times when you get resume advice, they'll say, I want to see numbers, I want to see stats, I want to, how do I track all these? I don't know, I can't keep track. Well, if you're tracking your activities along the way, it's going to be easier to add those numbers to your resume. Another thing you may want to think about doing is finding a mentor. So that might be your supervisor, it might be a colleague that you worked with. It's really just keeping in touch with the organization or agency that you worked with and continuing those relationships. We talked a little bit about networking before, right? So it's good to go above and beyond by making connections with colleagues as well. Because you never know who you might cross paths with in the future. And it's good to have a career mentor. So just be thinking about Who can I connect with after this experience that would be of benefit? Express interest for future opportunities. And I cannot stress this enough. I was working with an employer and they shared a story with me. And what happened was there was an intern who did a pretty good job in their experience. Um, After the experience was over, though, they didn't mention anything of interest for the company. And they went on and, finished school, started searching for a job. But the company said, I had no idea if they wanted to stay on or not. Sometimes companies are looking for students to start into full-time roles after they graduate. But if you don't express to the organization that you're interested, you might lose out on the opportunity. Because as a former intern supervisor as well, I've had students that tell me, I was so excited. Thank you for this opportunity. If you ever have an opening, I want in, right? I am so interested, right? So just expressing your interest and then following up later down the road. I've hired former interns at my past organization because of this reason, because they followed up. Whenever an opening came up, I thought of them immediately, said, hey, they've told me they want to be on my team at some point. So let me go reach out to them and let them know there's an opening, right? And then a thank you card goes a long way, whether it's a written card with snail mail or whether it's an email. Thanking your supervisor and following up means a lot because I've learned from students that I've supervised how much the experience meant to them. And just simply saying thank you has been a lot to me. I'm more likely to be excited about writing a letter of recommendation if they express as well their gratitude. But yeah, these are just a couple tips for next steps. And this is going to make you memorable as a student intern and continue those career relationships and not just think of it as a one-time experience and done, where you don't ever talk to these people again. So maintaining those career connections that you've established. So I know this was a lot of content, right? We talked about a lot of fun things today, from the preparation for an internship, during the internship, and then follow up afterwards. So this is actually my favorite part of today's session. But we are going to play a game. How many of you have seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Maybe a couple? So my question for you is, are you ready to jump into the future and become an intern millionaire? I will, disclosure, I don't have any money for you today. I apologize, but we're going to have a lot of fun today and we're going to test your knowledge that we just gained. I will tell you this, I might have a t-shirt that can be mailed to you for the winner of this game. But I'm going to transition now and pull up our live game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Intern Edition. So I need a volunteer. Who wants to play this game? The first person to reply in the chat will be our first contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So let's watch the chat. All right, Marlene, you are it. You are our first contestant. If we were in real life, I would say something like, come on down. That's the wrong show, isn't it? Okay, so while I prepare the presentation, Marlene, we would love for you to be prepared to have your video on and your microphone on, because we know with this game, we like to hear your thought process, your responses, and so you will be responding with your microphone. So let me stop sharing this. Just give me 1 second. And I'm going to get this up and running. Oh, sorry, I have a visitor. All right, Marlene, are we ready?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to get this PowerPoint ready to go. Just wanted to make sure. We're so glad to have you today. We've been excited to see you throughout the week at different events.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got the real deal and everything, like sound and all. All right, can you guys hear? were you able to hear that sound, Marlene? Are you
Yes.
excited?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go over just some rules really quickly for those of you, just to get a recap on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So we're going to ask you a series of questions. It's multiple choice, and you get to select your answer. You do have 3 lifelines. So you can phone a career counselor to help you answer the question. You can ask the audience, and they will respond in the chat. You can select your answer, or you can utilize our live chat assistance, which is on our website. So remember, if at any time you do get the answer wrong, though, that's where your journey ends. So you can use all 3 lifelines in one question if you like, or you can separate them out, but you have 1 of each, 3 total.
Got it.
Any questions?
No, let's do this.
All right, here we go, Marlene. Question number 1. What is the best way to prepare for your internship? And this is for $500. Go to sleep early the night before. Set SMART goals. Pick out your outfit the night before, or review your job description.
I would go with D.
Review your job description. Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes.
What is the best way to prepare for your internship? Final answer from Marlene is review your job description. Let's check it out. Oh, it's actually set SMART goals.
Whoop.
And I will tell you this, Marlene, we threw some curveballs in here. And
Yeah.
all of these are really great things to do before.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, reviewing your job description is so important, and it really goes hand in hand with setting SMART goals, right? So you look at that job description first, then you create your goals. So great job today, Marlene. Let's give Marlene a hand.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our chat box. Who would like to be our next contestant? Any takers for a free t-shirt? All right. And is it, I see in the chat, it's MD Mosen. How would you like me to refer to you? Mosen, is that correct? Okay. All right, so we're going to have you pick up where Marlene left off, and you're going to go with the next question. So are you ready to share your audio and video?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And you might want to turn up your sound just a little bit so we can hear you. I know we have some music in the background. All right. I think we're ready. Okay. Here we go, Mosen. You're going to do a great job. We're going to go to the next question, which is the $1,000 question. Here we go. Which one is not an internship standard? A, internships should be supervised by a professional. B, internships must include learning goals. C, internships must offer course credit. Or D, internship should offer flexible scheduling. Okay, we're gonna go with C. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, let's check it out. That is correct. Great job, Mosen.
Thank you.
So you can do an internship for credit, but you don't have to do it for credit, right? You have the option to do it for credit or not. Great job. Here we go. Let's track our progress. We're now moving to the $2,000 question. Here we go. In what ways can a student demonstrate professionalism? A, limit personal distractions. B, stay muted during virtual meetings. C, keep in constant communication with your supervisor. Or D, arrive 20 minutes early. We're going to go with A. Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right, final answer is A. Let's see. That is correct. Give Mosen a hand. All right, so you are moving up to the $3,000 question. All right, what is the number one trait that supervisors look for in an intern? A, leadership, B, initiative, C, teamwork, or D, enthusiasm?
It's difficult.
So what's going on? What are your
all are possible.
all of them? Yes. Okay.
I think it's D.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what your answer is? D.
I think so.
Okay. All right. Final answer D.
Yes.
All right. Here we go. You are correct. Now tell me a little bit. Why did you select D out of all those answers?
As you said in your presentation, enthusiasm must come from inside the internee, and all other things can be taught, but enthusiasm
Yes.
must be inherent.
Very good. You have a great memory. Here we go. You earned that $3,000. All right, here's our $5,000 question. The following are all examples of going the extra mile except A, leading projects, B, giving feedback, C, networking with colleagues, or D, asking questions.
Can I use lifeline?
You sure can. Which lifeline would you like to use? You can ask
Using
a
the-
career counselor. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I want to have the audition polls.
Oh, the audience poll, right?
Yes,
Correct?
yes.
All right, audience, you heard him. Which one do you guys think is the correct answer? The following are all examples of going the extra mile except A, leading projects, B, giving feedback, C, networking with colleagues, or D, asking questions. Let's see, we're waiting. We have a couple. One says A, B, B. I think it's B, B. What are you thinking,
Okay.
Moses?
Okay, I want to go.
Oh, sorry! I pressed the wrong. Was that what you were going to choose?
Anyway, I was going to the audience. Going with the audience.
I'm so sorry. I totally
It's
messed that
okay.
one up. So you're going to go with the audience choice of B.
Yes.
Great job. You're correct.
And I see here is a milestone. I think something, the figure is white here.
Oh, can you see the screen or no?
So here's the level of the game, I think. So why the $5,000 is white? All others are orange.
Oh, that's just our increments. Like you can see where you build from 5,000 to 50,000 and up. But yeah, there's not really a big difference. You're talking about the font colors?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I thought this is a level. I crossed a level.
So what happens is if you really in the game, if you would stop here, I think your minimum winnings is 5,000 because you beat that first level. But if you decide to keep going, there's potential for a $1 million t-shirt on the
Okay.
line. But great
Nice.
question. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, here we go. I don't know why it's taking. Sorry. I don't know why it's taking me backwards. Next question. Here we go. What is the best way to reflect on your experience? A, set goals. B, tell your family and friends. C, discuss progress regularly with your supervisor. Or D, keep track of all your activities.
I think it's C.
Okay?
C.
C. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay, let's check it out. You are correct. Great job, Mosen. You're on a roll.
Thank you.
Here we go. We are now moving up quickly. $10,000 question. And thank you to the audience for answering that last one. What should a student do immediately after their internship? A, ask for a full-time job. B, update their resume. C, find another internship. Or D, celebrate.
I think it's B.
Okay, we're gonna go with B. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay. You are correct. Way to go. Looks like you might get this $1 million t-shirt after all. Next question. $20,000 on the line here. How can students receive instant feedback on their resume? A, visit the Career Center website. B, RSVP to virtual resume review. C, access VMOC. Or D, ask a career counselor.
It's D.
Say that one more time. Is D, is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right, let's see. Is D the correct answer? Oh! So close. Okay, I'll give you some feedback on this, Mosen. So you definitely can ask a career counselor for resume feedback. However, it may not be instant. So based on if you're reaching out to them via email or you have an appointment scheduled or you visit our virtual walk-in hours, it may not always be instant, right?
Okay.
So we do have a platform called VMOC where you can upload your resume and get instant feedback.
So I actually missed this point. The Bima point.
Yes,
Okay,
well,
so,
you did a great job, Mosen.
It's a lot of fun playing with you.
Great job. Everyone give Mosen a hand. That was really good. You got really
Thank you.
far on the game. But I do want to
Mhm.
encourage you, you can definitely ask a career counselor as well. And we have 2 on this session right now. So I encourage you to connect with us. And they can put the instructions in the chat too. We'll add that at a later point in the game. All right, any other volunteers to pick up where Mosen left off? And I'll show you where we're at now in the game. So next person to reply in the chat, going for the $30,000 t-shirt. Any other takers? Mosen, you intimidated everybody. All right, looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 questions left. I see you, Lisa. All right, any others? It's just for fun. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, I'm going to open it up now. I had told Tyra and Jessica that they couldn't volunteer just yet. So I'm going to open it up to Tyra and Jessica if you guys want to tackle the challenge of becoming an intern millionaire.
I don't mind doing it. I could do it.
Yay! Okay, so Jessica's going to take on the challenge and see.
Jessica can play for us.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready, Jessica?
Yep.
Okay. All right, for $30,000, Jessica, which of the following is not an interviewing resource? A, interview stream, B, handshake, C, LinkedIn Learning, or D, a career counselor? B?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I had to make sure I could hear you. All right, so Jessica's going to go with B. Can you tell us a little bit about why you picked B? I'm just curious.
Well, Handshake is the website we use where most of the time there are internship opportunities on there, as well as job opportunities. Events are on there. I don't think necessarily there would be a resource. We could use it as a resource to practice an interview for a position, unlike a career counselor.
Okay. All right, let's check it out. Let's see if Jessica is correct. Oh, she is correct. Great job, Jessica. And I will clarify as we're watching our money ride here that you can schedule an appointment on Handshake to have a practice interview. You can do that, but you don't technically interview on Handshake. So just want to clarify that resource. Great job, Jessica. Let's go to our $50,000 question. Ooh, virtual etiquette. What virtual etiquette practice is most important? A, speaking up. B, sharing your screen when possible. C, muting your microphone when not speaking. Or D, having your camera on.
I'm gonna go with D.
Okay, D. Is that your final answer?
Wait. I feel like all of these are really great. They're all.
You can also use a lifeline. Audience has already been used. You can ask a career counselor, or you can ask our live chat, our website live chat.
I'll go with asking a career counselor.
Okay, we have Jeff here today. I think we also have Lisa. Jeff, do you have insight?
I do, but really only because I have the answers. And so I'm going to tell you that having your camera on is important. This is especially important in terms of interviews because they need to see you. Part of this is because in terms of communication, 90% of communication is nonverbal. And so it's important for them to be able to see you and how you respond, your facial expressions. When it's only the verbal, then all they have is the content of your message and voice inflection. And so it's really important to have your camera on when you're interviewing for internships. Now, the second thing I would say when I'm looking at this list of answers would be C, muting your microphone when you're not speaking. And this is important. Let's say you were in a group interview that was virtual. Well, if the person speaking, if their response is being picked up through your computer and being amplified, it can be distracting. So I would tell you D is the correct answer, but C is also something you want to think about. So.
Great. Yeah, I was actually stuck on C or D. So thank you for that, Jeff.
So what's your final answer, Jessica?
A D. I'm going to go with D.
D. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, very good. D. With C being a close second. All right, let's see. We got a couple more. Let's see if we have time remaining to get to our $1 million. All right, $100,000. What is the most effective way to develop communication skills during an internship? A, ask your supervisor to help you develop communication skills. B, take a LinkedIn Learning course. C, discuss clear communication expectations, practice and reflect. Or D, practice communicating with family members.
C.
Say that one more time.
C.
C. Okay, is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, you are correct. You're on our way. Great job. We're going to speed through these. I know we have 3 more minutes left. You get the $1 million prize. All right, where can a student go for one-on-one internship assistance? A, Career Center website, B, Handshake, C, Pure Post, or D, both A and B? Do you want to repeat that, Jessica? I think the music's
Fine.
louder than you.
I'm actually, yeah, I'm stuck between either Career Center website or Handshake. Well, I would say Handshake, because you can schedule an appointment with your career counselor to help with internship assistance. That's my thought process on that.
Okay. All right, so you're thinking B is your final answer?
Yeah. Should I
All right. Oh, go ahead.
should I use the lifeline to double check, or should I just?
We have 1 minute, so
I'll just go with B.
okay, but know that you can check our virtual chat after this. So let's see. B. Oh, you are correct. And the hint there was one-on-one assistance,
Oh.
right? One-on-one assistance. You can get internship assistance on our website, but the one-on-one assistance is scheduling an appointment on Handshake. So thank you, Jessica. You are a winner of $500,000 today. Maybe tomorrow we can pick this back up and see if you can win the $1 million t-shirt. But we just want to thank you all for coming today. We're really excited to have you here. If you haven't yet, add your ABC 123 in the chat. We'd love to follow up with you. And we have one more session tonight. So come out and see the Air Force Civilian Service at 5, and you can register on Handshake for that. So thank you. You guys were amazing. We had so much fun with you this week, and especially in this session today. Thanks for playing with us and spending some time learning about preparing for your internship.
Thank you.